Today's video is kindly brought to you by Squarespace. Hello there. So we have a situation on our hands that I'm completely fabricating myself, but we have something weird going on. Recently, I tried out this kit here, Pott'd. It's what I do on my channel. I try art kits, craft kits, art supplies. I bought this because I keep getting recommended it all the time. I see it on YouTube, I see a ton of shorts, I get ads for it, I see it on Amazon all the time. And when I went to purchase this one, I didn't realize at the time that there was a second company with a very similar box called Sculpd. I ended up getting this one because it was $6 cheaper and it looked basically exactly the same, had the same decent reviews, so I just got this one. Like, why would I spend $6 more if I don't have to? It was almost unanimous, people asking me to check out the Sculpd box, compare the two. So I went and I bought Sculpd. And then I received a comment that sort of sent shivers down my spine. I'm being dramatic again. In Australia, you have a company with the exact same thing called Crockd. Something is going on and I'm gonna get to the bottom of it because these kits are virtually identical from what I can tell. These are supposed to be two separate brands, okay? Upon closer inspection, I realized that these boxes were incredibly similar. The box is exactly the same size and shape. The flaps of the box are the same. They both have that like thick style logo, and so does Crockd. I did try to get that box for this video, but unfortunately it looks like you have to order a minimum of 5 of them. So I didn't, but if you really want me to go even deeper into this weird situation, feel free to let me know and I will buy 5 of them and then I'll give them away to some of you. But I think the weirdest coincidence in all of this situation is that all of them end in duh. Mic drop. Sculpd, Pott'd, Crockd. Is that not weird? I've seen Sculpd and Pott'd. Not sure why both are allergic to the letter E, but still. But the thing that I find even weirder is that these kits were released right around the same time as well. But something else I noticed was not only are the products inside from the pictures very similar, but even down to like the exact products and the shapes of the bottles and the bags that they've had manufactured are so similar. And I thought today I would do a deep dive into the background of why these companies are so similar. Okay, the description of Crockd is: pottery kits put Crockd on the map. We're now on a mission to get the world out of its head and into its hands. In our store, you will find clay kits, plant kits, paint sets, and more. All materials are ethically sourced and eco-friendly. No single-use plastic in sight. Crockd kits make the best afternoons. You look at the website and you see once again the box. Do you see it's the same flap box? And when I look at this picture, what do I see? I see the wooden tools. Let's just remind you of what was in this Pott'd box, okay? We had 2 bags of clay. Look at this bag. This works out to be $55 USD, which makes sense because Pott'd was $59 USD. There doesn't appear to be any paint. That is the only thing I will say. Okay, so here's all of the contents of the inside. So you have sheets, which those ones do look a little different, I will say. We also got one of these bags, and inside, clay tools. They're exactly the freaking same. You see this? The same tools. Exactly the same. With the exact same wood burnishing on the handles. So I'm like, okay, maybe Crockd is Australia based, maybe Pott'd is like European based, but all of the About Us pages are different. So when you go to the About Us page of Crockd, it all started one rainy Friday, Arvo. We were looking for a way to unwind from the week. We wanted something that could help us chill out and find a sense of ease, something imperfect, messy and real, something creative. We figured we'd order some clay online, watch some tutorials and get our creativity on. Only ordering clay wasn't so easy. It involved wholesale accounts and bulk amounts. Although our impulsive art crafternoon was out of reach, it got us thinking. Maybe there were other people like you looking for a fun date night idea, a way to unwind, or a way to connect with their creativity with others. So we hosted our first crafternoon with some mates and it was pure magic. Interesting creations, deep conversations, and a whole lot of laughs. So it looks like Crockd mostly specializes in doing like group pottery kits, which is nice. That's the thing that sort of sets it apart. The business was conceived in November 2019 in sunny Queensland, Australia. At the time, Gold Coast couple Rosa Claire Willis and Andrew Ford were searching for a fun and creative way to connect with each other at home. So Pott'd was founded in 2021. Let us take you back to the summer of 2020. We found ourselves, like everyone else, spending a lot of time in the house. In the evenings, we'd sit in front of the TV or scroll through our phones, usually at the same time. This wasn't an ideal way to spend the day, both on our own or with loved ones. So we decided to set out to find ways to get in touch with our creative sides and make all that time spent indoors useful. And once again, it looks like it was founded by a couple. This one, we proudly work with London-based charity Open Art Spaces to host affordable creative events all over the city and bring the joy of crafts to more people. It seems like Pott'd was made by a couple in the UK. And then you look at Sculpd. Okay, so Sculpd was founded in April of 2020. We started in April 2020 at the beginning of the first lockdown. Me and two of my good friends and co-founders, Giles and Guy. We wanted to build an experience-based company that could help people at a time of lockdown to do something with their hands. It seems that 2020 in particular really inspired people to start pottery businesses. It looks like Sculpd is also based in London. Pott'd and Sculpd are not the same brand. Okay, so social media-wise, they all have a really big following. Crockd has 118,000 followers on Instagram, and they post short-form content where they're making very satisfying things. And this is where they're very, very similar, because they all make very satisfying, cutesy things, which I guess could be said for literally any creative DIY company. They're all kind of making social media content. And it looks like Crockd actually has a physical location as well, which is really cool. And they were technically the first company, as far as I can see, to do it. And then you go to Pott'd. They have 185,000 followers, and again, they make that real cutesy-like stuff. Then you have Sculpd, which has the most followers of them all, 337,000. And again, very cutesy stuff. Just makes you want to do pottery. It makes it look very easy when it's really not. So this, as you can see, is the product photo. So they have two of the paints. They have all of the pastel colors, which Pott'd, I got the Pott'd pastel colors too. And they definitely look, I mean, they're pastels. Pastels are the same. Then you go to Pott'd, and they both used like something to elevate the box in the background. And they both had like a cutesy little like pot thing that's holding a plant. Now, I could be mistaken. The photos just may make it look a little bit more similar than it actually is, but I'm gonna go ahead and open it. If you want to see the contents of Pott'd, how it was when I opened it, obviously, I will link that video in the description down below. So today's video is kindly sponsored by Squarespace, and let me tell you a little bit more about it. So I have used Squarespace for so many things over the years. I'm actually so excited too, because I actually plan to release some classes on my website starting next year. I want to make them affordable and readily available to people, and Squarespace actually allows you to upload and create your very own classes and members only areas. I most recently used them for my landing page and newsletter because it was just the easiest platform to set up for that. I also use Squarespace for my portfolio website where I promote my book and all of the art that I've done over time. They have so many features. If you want to build a store, they have a ton of features for that as well. And if you're someone that wants to sell products, but you don't want to have the inventory and you don't have the time or the money to kind of have those products in the first place, Squarespace actually has some features that allows them to handle that for you. So if you have people that want to access your exclusive content, you can do that through Squarespace. With Squarespace, you have thousands and thousands of templates for your own website that you can build. And my favorite part is with their fluid engine, their drag and drop technology, you can literally pick up and move every element of your website and put it exactly where you want to. What I love is it clicks into place, so everything is symmetrical. And between devices, phones, tablets, laptops, you can make it look seamless. If you want to check out Squarespace for yourself, go to squarespace.com to sign up. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/CHLOEROSEART to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Now, both are clearly very, very successful companies. This has got the instructions. This one does too. They are different sizes though. So let's see the type that they have. So Pott'd has the thing you can make with pictures, and then on the other side, it tells you all of the directions. This is kind of the same thing, where it tells you what it looks like and what you need on the back. You have a pinch pot with them, vases, plant pot, trinket dish, and a coil pot. Wow, that looks cool. I would destroy that. And then this one had like a plant pot, it had a photo stand, a trinket dish. They actually have like an incense burner, and then the pinch pot, the draped dish. They have a lot of different things that you can make, a vase. But this is where I want to like look closer. There is a difference. So Sculpd, as you can see, has a very similar bag. The one on the left is a lot bigger in like length. The clay itself is... It looks like you get slightly more clay with potted, just a very small amount, unless it's kind of not measured out. There is a little bit more in this one than there is this one. So I was thinking to myself, like, okay, well, if these bags are literally identical down to every last like little wrinkle, they've clearly used the same manufacturer. But it looks like they didn't. The bags are definitely slightly different. These are potted, and all are, again, they're all burnished with the potted logo. Sculpd has the same like canvas bag. So this is potted, this is Sculpd. Yeah, obviously these ones have been used, these ones haven't. They're exactly the same. For some reason, the Sculpd ones aren't actually burnished though, with the logo. Okay, so in here, this is very well packaged, I will say. Everything is sort of like, it's not thrown in there. It's got its own little slot, which is nice. It does have a little sponge. This is just like the sponge I had in my potted video. I don't know where my sponge went. So I think it's very strange, but maybe this is just a very common thing used in pottery. You have an eggshell white and a gloss varnish. These containers are definitely bigger as well. 2.4 fluid ounces, and these ones were 50 mil. So you get more product in the Sculpd box than you do with potted. Again, these containers are different. I thought from the photos they were going to be the same. They're very clearly not the same bottles. So they didn't use the same manufacturer for the bottles either. The brushes are very different. You've got a big brush. We got 2 brushes with potted as well. The ones from potted were a lot bigger, so if you like bigger brushes, then potted's brushes are bigger. Where's my... Did I not get any paint? Did my kit not come with any? Oh, I didn't buy the one with paint. In order to have a set with paint, it costs you $79. So you get the same size and amount of paint with the Sculpd kit, but you have to pay a lot more for it. The kit that I bought was $65, which was still $6 more than the potted kit. Price-wise, if you are looking to have one or the other, potted is cheaper and you get the paint included with the price. When you look at the Crockd kit, that also does not include paint. So you don't get any paint included. You literally just get the kit. So all in all, cost-wise, potted is a lot cheaper than the other two because you get the paint included. Crockd is more set up for groups. It's sort of heavily set in the sort of corporate world by looks of it, and like groups and parties. Potted and Sculpd are kind of promoted as being for do something with a loved one, date night, those kind of things. So that's where they're very, very similar. The question is though, is the clay in the Sculpd kit as good as the clay in the potted kit? I thought I would mess around with the clay because this clay feels a lot softer than the potted clay does. It also says that the air dry clay can be fired between 1000 degrees Celsius and 1260 Celsius, many glazes giving excellent results. The potted bag says it will dry naturally in 24 hours and there is no need to fire me in a kiln. I can literally squeeze it in the bag, whereas this one, not so much. So I'm curious if the clay itself is very different. So yeah, I think I'm gonna try out the Sculpd set to see what I think, and then I'll give my final feedback at the end of the video. Okay, so someone did comment and tell me to get like an acrylic sheet because it makes pottery way easier. I still don't have one though because this is not long after filming that original video. Let's do a clay comparison, shall we? This is very squishy clay. Compared to, this one's pretty squishy too, but maybe not quite as squishy because this one is like way squishier. That one looks like a turd. Do you see the difference? One is squishy, one is not. If I was a potter, I would tell you where this clay is from. So this is what I made with my potted kit. I made a little DIY tic-tac-toe board with little marshmallows and chocolate pieces. I had a lot of fun doing it. It took several days because I had to wait for things to dry, obviously. The only issue I had was the paint was like peeling off of the clay quite easily. Oh yeah, okay. Already, I prefer this clay. All I've ever used before is this Daz modeling clay, which is also air dry clay. I think I'm gonna make coasters. So, coasters, but it's like a hamburger. So like this is the patty. I don't know why I immediately think of food when I'm making clay stuff, but here we are. I'm gonna use these tools to make like sort of shape of a patty. So I used the tools to make the burger patty more textured. I had no method to this really. It was just
I just poked it repeatedly until it was like, yeah, looks like a burger. This clay was definitely easier to mold because it was a lot softer. I'm also not making a tiny little detailed tic-tac-toe s'mores board like I did with the potted box, so that also did help make it easier too. Pretty happy with the little bun here. And yes, that is a spray can I'm using as a rolling pin, okay? We get creative on my channel. Got some wonky cheese. I then applied that all over my slab of clay. Used a little nail file to file the cheese. Again, getting creative here on my channel. Paint went onto the clay beautifully. Actually, for the record, this clay had been drying for 2 days at this point. I was not painting wet clay. Okay, so I put a base coat on all of these and I'm gonna go ahead and paint them now, but because the kit didn't come with paint, I'm just going to use some cheap apple barrel and folk art paint. It's just regular craft paint, so we'll see how it works. I was going to use the potted paint, but honestly, I wasn't super impressed with it at the time. Hopefully this will work out decently.
Is that cheese colour? Looks like it.
Painted our wobbly bit of cheese. This yellow was obnoxiously transparent, so I ended up having to do literally like 5 coats, but whatever. Then I painted this slab of poop. I mean burger. It does look awfully like poop though, doesn't it? Like when you're outside and some crappy person didn't pick up their dog poo and you stand on it and it makes a poop patty. I don't speak from experience or anything. I definitely didn't stand in dog shit 2 weeks ago at a garden centre. I'm pretty proud of the colour mixture I made for the bun. I think it's quite legit. Looks pretty bun-like, I would say. I was tempted to put on some sesame seeds, but I just didn't know how to do that without ruining the whole thing or making it look bad and gluing them on individually, so I just kept it simple for now.
My yellow paint was unfortunately matte, but we can fix that easily with some of the gloss varnish, luckily. I was a massive fan of this eggshell white base. It didn't peel off. This burger needs some sesame seeds, but what I'm probably gonna do is do them afterwards and like paint like tiny little pieces and then glue them on, because it would have been way too hard to try and do it with it on there already. I don't like this cheese. I've realized that I am not good at making squares with clay. It's not a speciality of mine. I'm better molding things into other shapes, not squares. I'm just slightly obsessed with how much this looks like a burger. Like, it's a little bit shiny and glossy to be a burger. It kind of looks like poop, but it also looks like a burger. I don't know. I think it looks good, but I think it's going to be a fun little coaster. I did make a bit of a boo-boo though. When I was making this bun, I didn't think to myself that we wouldn't be able to use this as a coaster because it's not flat. So this won't be able to be used as a coaster, but it's okay. All in all, here is my little coaster burger. Who doesn't want your coasters in the shape of a burger? You know, I think it's fun. It almost looks like an Egg McMuffin, actually. Like the cheese looks a bit more like egg than it does cheese, I think. But all in all, I feel like this came out way better than the tic-tac-toe board I did. I do have some opinions if you're curious to hear them. I mean, I guess you are because you're watching the video. If I had to choose between boxes, they are incredibly similar. Like, if I was going based on budget, absolutely go for potted because you get far more in the box. You get like paints inside. That being said, I personally had a far better experience using cheap craft paint on this clay than I did with the paint in the potted box. For some reason, it kept peeling off what I was doing. I'm not really sure why that kept happening. I will say I much prefer this base from Sculpd though, because it just seemed like it went on better and it didn't like peel off of the clay. All in all, both are really good boxes. I think I just slightly preferred the clay they had in the Sculpd box because it was more, I don't know, it was just a tad bit softer and easier for me personally to mold. I'm sure there are people out there with more experience with clay than me that can tell me why that is or if there's different types of clay. But yeah, all in all, I would say if you're looking for something cheaper, go with potted because you get the paints. If you wanted softer clay, I would go with Sculpd, and I preferred the base that they had with the Sculpd. It was also a larger size than you get with the potted. As you can see, quite significantly larger. I will say, when I tried out the potted box, a lot of people said said to me that as a potter, to them it was quite expensive because they knew which products to buy. It was kind of way cheaper for them to buy it individually. But that being said, kind of like myself, I've not done a huge amount of like sculpting of things in the past. This was a good box for me to start off with. I think definitely for beginners, if you're more of an experienced potterer, is that a word? Potterer? Then you would probably benefit from these boxes. I can't speak for Crockd because obviously I couldn't get that one. But yeah, for now, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I really, really hope that you enjoyed it. Again, leave me your comments down below, letting me know what you think of each of these boxes. And if you personally have experience with the Crockd box, I'd love to hear a little bit more about that too. But yeah, for now, thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves and I will see you in the next video.